Going on back with another live stream here. And today I have another important topic that is super important for people who are struggling with daily back pain. Now, this topic here is so important because the mistake I see people make all the time is just doing their normal life and not considering the effects of their back pain and how their daily actions or your daily actions, if you're someone who's struggling, can affect this and will affect it. So, the topic for today is spine hygiene 101. So, simple habits for a healthier back. Okay. So, I want to talk about what types of things that you can start doing now that are going to help you get your day off to a better start. And at the end of the day, just feel better about the way you move throughout the day and have less pain. I think that's the big thing is we all want less pain and no one wants to exist in pain, right? So what can we do throughout the day and what can we do to start our day that's going to put us in a good position to avoid getting into that pain cycle, right? Once that starts, I know how it feels. You get into that pain cycle and then you start to worry. You start to wonder, what am I going to do now? Or what should I do now? Or is it going to get worse? And then you spiral, right? And we want to avoid that. And so on the talk last week, I actually talked about the mental side of back pain. We talked about some strategies that we could start to implement to tackle back pain from a mental perspective. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to talk about tackling back pain from the physical perspective. So the things that we do day to day, the things that we do throughout the day, or the things that we don't do, depending on your situation, and how to actually just essentially just improve your situation overall. And I think that's really what we want to do is we always want to improve our situation, right? If we can improve our situation a little bit each day, we avoid getting into that deficit. And I see that all the time as people get into a big pain deficit and they're really stuck. They don't really know how to get out of it, and they feel like all is lost. Okay, and so if you're tuning in for that, you came to the right place. Okay, so realistically, what we're talking about today is something I call spine hygiene. Now, this is something that's been popularized by Stuart McGill. I think he coined the term, and what it really means is that you want to, just like you have hygiene for your teeth or your hair, etc., you're going to want to take care of your spine and your back the same way. Okay, now this really factors in for people who are suffering, right? If you don't have a lot of pain, this may not apply to you, but I think it's going to help no matter what. One thing that I'll share with you is my own personal experience. So I don't suffer from any sort of back pain anymore. Um, but I am aware that if I was to do absolutely nothing, that I could easily fall back into having sciatica and back pain. So I've climbed out of the hole, as I like to say, and now I'm in a place where I feel better. And so I never want to go back there. So I practice spine hygiene all the time. And so right now I'm sitting in a chair. I am, sat down, which a lot of people say is one of the worst things you can do. And that's okay, right? There is nothing wrong with sitting down when you're dealing with stuff like this. But what do you do? Uh, what do you do throughout your day that's going to combat the sitting? Right, for example. And so for me, if I sit a whole bunch, I start to do little things like I'll try to do microdose movements, or let's say I sat on a plane for a long time. If when I get a chance, I might lay down on my stomach, right? And this is just one little thing that I do amongst many that really helps to make sure that I don't fall into the trap of starting to beat up my back. And so I like to use the analogy of an energy bar. And so you think about a video game or something like that, and you have this energy bar, right? And it's full. And as you fight, you think about those little games, getting hit, you're taking blows while your energy bar gets depleted. And really with your back and your body overall, it's the same thing, right? We want to try to keep that energy bar as big as possible. And it's completely normal. Like things throughout the day, people who don't struggle with chronic back pain, they're also going to have issues with their energy bar. It may not be back pain specific, or maybe they do have a little bit of back pain. Nonetheless, we want to try to keep that up. Okay. So, what are some things that we can do? Well, right when we get up in the morning, it's a perfect chance for us to start to do some positive movements. Okay. And so, a nice routine. Now, I'm not going to get into the details of what that routine would look like, but the one thing is you're very sensitive in the morning, and sitting causes a pain sensitivity, meaning sitting causes you pain. You're not going to want to just get up, sit down, and sit on a hard chair and have breakfast, for example. You're going to want to stand. You're going to want to move around and put your body in a good position. Okay, this is super important when you're thinking about starting your day. In some cases, if you're not in any sort of like serious pain, or it's just like a nagging tightness, and you want to, you know, do some exercises, you can do some glute activation, some core strengthening. When I was going through my whole situation, I had like I was coming out of it, I should say. I had a whole routine, about 10-minute routine. I would just do one set of each exercise. It was about 6 to 10 of them, and just getting my thoracic spine, which are upper mid back there, my lumbar, everything moving, getting the blood flowing. And then after that, I would get the core active, get the glutes active, and stuff like that. Right. So this is really important stuff, because if you start your day off like that with positive movements that make you feel good, you're always going to enter the day by keeping that energy bar up, or in some cases, like even raising the energy bar. Right. If you had a difficult sleep, for example. Now, when the day starts, this is super important. Right. What do you do if you have an office job, which most of us do? I mean, there are some people who have physical jobs, but office people have a unique thing, because you have to be stuck in front of a computer. I'll talk about the people who move after, or have a job where they have to move after. But people who are stuck in front of a computer, they're going to want to avoid prolonged sitting. Right. So getting up 30 minutes, an hour, 20 minutes in some case, set an alarm, and just get up and walk around. Right. Get the blood flowing again. Also, you're not going to want to, um, like, there's a saying that goes like, the best position's the next position, meaning when you're sitting down, do you want to be sat straight up all the time? Well, not really, because really your goal is to stay moving. You want to have access to all positions of your body. And when you're sat for a long period of time, if you sit in the same position, you're stuck, right? You're in that stuck position. So with a slouch, super straight up, it's not, you're always going to want to be moving around. Okay. So you want to have posture that's quote unquote spine friendly. But what that means to me is that it doesn't cause you pain when you move into it, and you're able to move in and out of it pretty freely. And you're going to want to switch between those positions. Okay. Um, and then there's something I call MicroDos workouts. So this is really important because it really gives you that opportunity to do movements that feel good. Okay, so throughout the day, you might take a break on one of your sitting breaks from working, get up and do some of these microdose movements. Now, they're going to be different for everyone. These movements could be specific to you, meaning that like you enjoy them, they make you feel good. They're going to be different for everybody. And so it's really just about being able to find the ones that work best for you. Okay. In some cases, they might be mobility, there might be some stretches, there might be some core activation. Again, I don't want to get caught in the weeds here. The one thing that I say to everyone is it has to feel good, meaning it makes you feel good. It shouldn't instigate pain or like be very vigorous or difficult. Okay. So that's one thing there. Um, Now, for people who are, doing jobs that maybe are a bit more mobile, or maybe repetitive, like they're physical jobs that they're repetitive, same idea applies, because you're stuck in like doing the same thing. So let's say you have a job where you grab and twist, or you're lifting stuff over your head. You want to break that pattern, right? And find a pattern that makes you feel good. And you can almost implement those microdose movements. And in your case, it might mean just sitting down, right? That's something that would be the opposite of what you're doing. So if standing and working is causing you a ton of pain, then you would do the opposite and take a seat and relax and sit down. All right. And so just think about your body doesn't like to just be stuck in one place, especially once you've gotten to a point where you don't have the ability on the other side. So, for example, if I don't have the ability to arch my back, like I literally can't do it without pain, well, I'm kind of stuck because I've lost a piece of movement that my body should be able to do. And so, while you're working on um, regaining that ability, and that's key, you want to be able to just move generally, right? And so there's no such thing as bad movement. Everything's contextual, but your body typically is going to like moving rather than not moving at all. And again, this obviously there's nuance here depending on how much pain you're in, et cetera, et cetera. But just some things to consider. Okay. Another great thing is to have a nice little routine that before bed, something that can, get you to a place of winding down, feeling good. We talked a little bit about it last time on the chat about our nervous system and what happens when we're in a like a state of being in pain and maybe being a little more sensitive, right? We want to be able to turn that down and calm that down as best as possible. So that's going to be key. And, for some people, it's going to be a similar routine that they did in the morning, some nice light movements, a little bit of activation, and it's going to help you when you go to sleep. So I hear from people all the time who, when they wake up in the morning, they're in a lot of pain, and that's because of just the lack of movement while you're in sleep, at sleep, right? And then once they get some blood flow and start walking around, they start to feel good. Now, when you are sleeping, you're going to want to sleep with something that is friendly to your spine, right? Now, I can almost 100% say don't sleep on your stomach. That's for like the vast majority of people. There's a few different positions you can sleep on. You can sleep with a pillow between your legs and on your side. So that'd be like kind of keeping your pelvis and your hips at a neutral position. So the pillow would be in between your legs like this, and these would be your legs, and you sleep on your side. You can also sleep on your back, and that would be with pillows under your legs. So you'd be like this with pillows under your legs. At the end of the day, with all that said, if you're feeling comfortable in other positions and you wake up the next day and you feel good or better than trying any of those other positions, then go with that. But I would try some of those positions first and foremost. Okay, more about spine hygiene. The idea of that energy bar, there's another common phrase used by Stuart McGill. He uses the term picking the scab, meaning you're beating up the energy bar, or if you had a scab on your hand and it's bloody, if you keep picking it, so doing bad movements that are causing more pain or putting you in a bad position. Okay. And so when you're training, and this is really key, um, you want to have the ability to do everything, right? Like realistically. Now, again, I can't speak to like load, like how much you're lifting or how much you're running or how high you're jumping or how explosive you are. That's going to vary on your background, your strength levels, etc. But like ideally, I would say body weight wise, you should likely want to be able to do most things with your body. So, for example, I have the ability to like stand on one leg or do a single leg lunge or do a squat where I can sit down and do a full range squat. If I can lift my hands over my head without my shoulders feeling like they're sore and pinged or causing pain to my back, those are all things that you want, right? And so really focusing on something that's functional movement when it comes to exercise is super important. Now, there's a lot of debate about this. What is functional movement? Everything is functional movement. But the key thing for me is always starting from a really regressed state, so like a baseline state, and then building up your capacity from there. Because if you're in a state where like you keep having flare-ups, but you keep after you heal, you're like, okay, time to get back to the deadlifts, and you go back to the deadlifts, and then after like 3 months, you get back pain again, and then you stop. Clearly, there's something missing, right? And so I like to say, okay, rather than going back to the deadlifts, let's go back to the beginning and reimagine the way that you move, and really challenge yourself to understand movement from a different perspective, right? So it's not to say that you can't ever get back to doing deadlifts. I think it's just a matter of you learning how to move your body first. And I see so many people move and they don't even realize, like, if I ask them, well, like, what's the position of your pelvis right now? And they couldn't even tell you. And I used to be one of those people. And so it's very important, I think, for you to understand like mind body connection, the different position of your body to be even realize if you're out of position. So that way, when you start scaling up to more intense movements, movements that are going to be causing more shear forces on your body and more, they're more dynamic, or there's going to be more load. You understand all the ins and outs of how your body's moving because you've really focused on that from a mind body connection. Okay. Um, and I think that's probably the biggest thing when it comes to the training side of it And so I would say right now, if you're wondering, how do I get out of this this loop of the chronic pain that I'm in, where I just keep getting the flare ups and I don't know what to do, and I go back to work out, and each time I go back to work out, it still causes pain. That's my best advice to you, is to start back at the beginning and really think about, okay, what can I actually do to be in a better position to relearn how to move. Okay, I think this is really, really good. Okay. Um, so I think that's the becomes the biggest thing. Don't be afraid to start from the beginning, like relearn how to walk again. Maybe you know how to walk, but you're not walking correctly. Okay. All right. So recap here. Obviously, in the morning, making sure to get active and enter the world into a way that doesn't instigate pain. Like if sitting is your pain trigger, you're not going to sit. All right. You're not just going to go right to sitting. If walking causes you pain, you're not going to go straight for walking. Um, Bringing in some form of like routine that you can implement throughout the day, but also even in the morning as a morning routine to get you moving. One that you know is like something that makes you feel good. This is the key. It has to make you feel good. Okay. And that goes as well just for even um, throughout the day, taking those movement breaks, those microdose breaks. Don't sit for too long. Break the movement pattern that you're stuck in, right? If you're stuck in the movement pattern of sitting, then break that pattern. If you're stuck in the movement pattern of things that you do at work, that's over and over the same thing, whether it be, a manual job, then break the pattern, right? Find movements that make you feel good. Okay, really, really important. And then I think when it comes to actually training, be mindful of the way you're moving. If you don't have anyone that can help you or tell you how to move, find someone, right? Ask them what the position of your body is at any given moment when you're doing a specific movement, just so you can get that feedback. Again, I don't think there's any really thing, there's no real like wrong movement patterns. It's just contextual. So, like, what are you trying to do? Why do you want to lift that much? What should the position of your body be? Do you have the right activation, muscles that are supporting those movements, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The list goes on and on. But I would say start from the beginning, like go back to to square one, if that makes sense. Okay. And yeah, I mean, really, just small daily changes are going to think that the thing that leads you to long term success and improvements with this. Okay. That is really gonna be the key. Those types of changes that are small. It's not going to be the one workout that you do that's gonna fix you. That's not gonna do anything. It's not gonna be, this one decompression therapy that's gonna fix you, and it's not gonna be just this one surgery you get that's gonna fix you, because all those things can potentially help diminish your pain or even get you out of pain for a moment. But the thing is that you're not actually dealing with the root cause. And the root cause is you clearly are doing something in your life, or you have some issue with your movement. Okay? And that's really what you want to start to tackle. And so at Spine Hygiene, these simple habits are going to be a game changer for you to start to challenge these things and really change the way you're moving, change the way you're living. Okay. All right. So if you are watching right now and you want to ask me a question, drop a question in the chat. Happy to ask or happy to answer questions. And that way, yeah, I would love to be able to give you a few tips and tricks or drop a bit of information that's going to help you on your journey. So, um, if you have questions, let's hear them, and we will go from there. And I have to kind of wait in silence because there's just delay, and if I leave, I won't see the question. So, if you have a question, let me know. Um, yeah, I'll do my best to answer the question. All right, going once, going twice. All right, gone three times. I appreciate everyone who dropped in, or if you're watching this on replay, appreciate you. I'm going to be doing these once a week, dropping a little bit of information each time on some super valuable topics. So go check out my other lives in my profile. or on my channel, depending on where you're watching. And if you have any questions, you can drop them there. All right. Oh, you're lucky. So I got one question. Do I think flexion causes pain? Well, the question I have for you, uh, one JF Johnson is, does flexion cause you pain? Right. This is the back pain is not does it cause thing. So it's the question is does it cause you pain? So does it? All right. Well, I'm not sure if you got that. You might be typing, but the reason why I ask you if it causes you pain is because that's all that matters. Some people are going to have extension issues, meaning when they extend backwards or arch their back, that causes them pain. Other people, flexion is going to cause them pain. Other people, shear forces of handling load um, of absorbing impact is going to cause them pain. So it really varies. So this is why the question I threw back at you is more about what is your pain trigger? So if flexion causes you pain, you shouldn't be doing a bunch of flexion until you're out of pain. And then once you're out of pain, you can start to introduce flexion again, slowly and not push through pain. Okay. This is a very, very, very important concept that I think people get wrong is they think I was told that walking helps back pain, but then they walk a whole bunch and then they have a bunch of pain and they think I just got to keep walking. Just got to keep walking back. It helps back pain. And that's just a fallacy. It's not the way it works, especially when you're in like a really chronic pain cycle, right? So hope that helps. But I am going to sign off now. Again, questions, comments, they can be left below in the comments. And I'll be, like I said, doing this once a week. So I appreciate everyone who is watching, and I will see you